I'm sure most of you have at least heard of this game by now. It's infamous across the internet for being a terrible game thanks to the likes of many famous YouTubers. So it may surprise you to know that I didn't actually find this to be a terrible game. Wait, what? Have you gone balmy? Well, no. I can already hear your questions, and well, thankfully I can explain. Castlevania II is a terrible game if you don't know what to do beforehand. This game is terribly cryptic for one, and it also lacks any sort of map. If not for the internet, you'd get stuck fairly quickly. However, I only decided to tackle the game on a whim after watching a couple of online playthroughs, which means, for the most part, I already knew what to do. Once you have that knowledge, it removes one of the biggest problems of the game and makes the overall experience more enjoyable. Does it make it a good game? Well, not really. But it does make it playable, and at best, a decent framework for better games. First of all, the game has a wonderful soundtrack, well, just mainly bloody tears. But the rest of the soundtrack is also nice and somewhat catchy. The graphics aren't as terrible as some have said, but they do leave something to be desired, even by NES standards. As for the gameplay, the closest comparison I can make at the moment is Zelda 2. Lots of 2D side-scrolling with many dungeons, also known as mansions in this game, and plenty of grinding. You walk around killing enemies in order to collect hearts, which lets you buy helpful items, whip upgrades, and side weapons. There's also a level up system that isn't very prominent, but whenever you level up, you refill your health bar, which for me occurred at rather convenient times. Personally, I didn't find the grinding in this game unbearable, however I do see the potential for it to get frustrating as a game over reduces your heart count to 0. In fact, the most frustrating sections of the game involve the dumb green blob enemies, which are incredibly cheap and often dickishly placed. Of course, another infamous part of the game is the day-night cycle. What a horrible night to have a curse has become an infamous video game quote, and really the transition is not as annoying as you'd think it'd be, but as time has gone by, other games have made similar transitions much smoother. What is annoying though, is the fact that towns close during the night, meaning you can't refill health or buy items, and often just have to sit and grind the night away. It's really dumb when you consider the fact that the game has you on a timer, with how long you take determining the ending you receive. The mansions are pretty bland most of the time, and the bosses are pretty much a joke. There's only 3 of them in the entire game. This leads to my largest complaint with the game, outside of the obvious, the level design. Simon's Quest has level design that wouldn't feel out of place in a Metroid or Zelda game. The problem is, there is no reward for exploring large portions of the game. Perhaps they simply intended to have areas meant for grinding, but considering I noticed most of these sections at the end of the game, it seems like they were there to just extend game time and confuse the player. These areas are pointless. Hell, there's even a mansion with a random room filled with boulders suspended in midair. Behind the boulders is nothing, so there's no need to go near them to begin with. Why not just make the area inaccessible and not waste my time? There's a solid foundation of a game here though. It controls as well as the first game, and it's pleasing to the ears. It's, however, hindered by poor level design and unintuitive progression. I will not recommend the game unless you're compelled out of curiosity like I was, in which case I recommend watching someone else play it first, unless you want to rip your hair out. Well, that's it for today's review of Castlevania II. I hope you like the changes going on here, and thank you for watching.